Let me start by saying if you're here, you'll be getting a review by a huge horror fan. I was interested and had known about this title on PC for a while now, but when I heard developer Rock Pocket Games and publisher Funcom were releasing it on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, I knew it was time to check it out, because Moons of Madness looks like an 8-hour insane ride, and oh boy was it.
Rise and shine, folks!
Is everybody okay?
I almost spilled my coffee. Oh my gosh. I'll have to check the readings, but that may have been our biggest quake yet.
Moons of Madness is a psychological horror game that starts off right from the get-go with a sample of just how terrifying this game really is, as Shane, the main character, wakes up from a bad dream. Pulling himself together, he starts his adventure down a mind trip of madness. The game is told in a Lovecraftian manner, so expect a dark and strange descent into the psyche. So, ask yourself, if you've ever wondered what life on Mars would be like, well, this game's plot would make you think twice of ever wanting to go there. And speaking of the story, you can miss much of it if you don't read through the many PC terminals spread about the game. I can imagine the story might seem a bit scattered if you don't take the time to read all the entries in the terminals, so keep that in mind. As I was saying, Shane is a technician on the Invictictas, a space station on Mars. Shane wakes up to a security lockdown and it's his job to fix it. The greenhouse is flooded, solar panels are down, things aren't going well. As Shane fixes one thing after the next, he quickly realizes that the station isn't quite right. Assisted by his friends on the comms, he makes his way through his adventure to find out exactly what is going on. And then the madness begins.
Something is loose.
Something? What something?
I don't know yet.
Okay, I'll contact Wilcox at the landing site. She'll get Lucas to talk. He should know what Wilcox has been doing in there. Just hang tight and get that reclaimer online.
The gameplay is pretty interesting in Moons of Madness because I thought it was going to be your average walking simulator. But that turned out to be anything from the truth. The developer made the game stand out from the rest. But this wasn't always a good thing, because although it was fun at first to have to do every action you would in a real-life living on Mars scenario, it quickly became tedious. You had to do things like consistently fill your suit with oxygen, or you would run out of precious air and die. Also, you had to press what felt like an absurd amount of buttons. And unlike your average walking simulator, you have the potential opportunity to die quite often if you don't get through a scenario right. But this wasn't a bad thing, and it really gave the game that extra spice. Now, there is a particular QuickTime event that can be a real pain and should have been explained a bit more in detail. This is because I nearly thought I had encountered a game-breaking bug with a QuickTime event not popping like the majority of all other games I've played before. But with some time, I managed to pull through it. So the game really starts to pick up pace once you get further along, and when the pace picks up, you have to make a run for it many times in the game to avoid being mowed down by some unearthly creatures. But your character simply didn't run all that fast, and it almost felt unnatural for a walking simulator because I wasn't really picking up speed. And lastly, a good walking simulator always has fantastic puzzles, and I will admit some of them weren't all that hard and just required a little math, but they were still pretty fun in the end. If I was to spend some time on Mars at a secret space station, Moons of Madness's atmosphere and aesthetics are what I would imagine. The game feels dark and dreary, and the planet is dead but gorgeous at the same time, and the graphics really are fantastic. The developers even managed to put small details in the game, such as frost around the edge of your helmet and dust devils spinning around you. Everything from the objects scattered around the space station to Shane's hands was highly detailed and modeled. There were no cheap designs here. And the animation of the plant life as it seemingly consumed the station was an awesome addition. It gave the background that dark and creepy feel that kept the game feeling fresh as it slowly grew over. The voice acting was another brilliant and fine addition to the game. I don't think it could have been done any better, and at times, I felt like sitting back and watching the game in just a cinematic presentation. There was a combination of great sound effects that made me feel like I was on a space station, and a creepy good soundtrack that had me absolutely terrified at times. It even gave me a scare or two where I shamefully jumped out of my seat. Thankfully, nobody was looking. I really enjoy this sci-fi 8-hour Lovecraftian-like tale, and though I've yet to play through it on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, if the performance and controls hold up, I would easily give this game an 8 out of 10. But like I said at the beginning of the review, I'm a huge horror fan, so I will admit that there may be some bias here, but to each their own. I can't wait to see what developer Rock Pocket Games and publisher Funcom have in store for us next. Moons of Madness is available now on PC and will release on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on March 24th. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy our content, hit the like button and subscribe because it really helps the channel. Also, check out the BG4G Hub website for everything gaming.